I was just telling him I thought I was having a heart attack last night. So I'm driving home. Oh, because I have cigars once in a while.
Right. Yeah.
Twice a week.
So of course you're going to have a heart attack because you smoke a cigar twice a week.
Yeah, I mean,
you're a hypochondriac.
logical. And I used to smoke 3 a day. And now, thanks to...
By the way, what is the... like, what's the thing about the cigar smoking?
Big brown fat thing in your mouth.
Oh, you like to put things in? That's a very phallic. You know, like
that's what Carlin used to say. But there's something. It's relaxing. It's like an hour.
You get a buzz from it?
Just relaxing. It's there. You ever smoke cigarettes?
No, I've never.
Cigarettes are really like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. Cigars like, we should talk business.
Right, but you don't inhale a cigar.
No,
right?
you don't inhale a cigar.
So then, what's the whole?
You just look badass.
It's a good feeling, and it's in comedy. You got a lot of time to kill in between shows.
I know a lot of comedians smoke cigars.
Yeah. So I smoked one last night, and I'm like, oh, my left arm hurts. And I did tries the day before, and I was like, it can't just be.
So it couldn't be that you strain your tricep. It has to be a heart attack.
That's exactly it.
Right.
That's a typical hype. I think that's a Jewish thing, though, isn't it?
It's a very Jewish thing. Yeah. He was talking to you about, my nipples were getting perky on what I thought was Masteron.
Yeah. Well, guys who take steroids also think that every side effect in their life is from steroids.
Right.
But
because it's a lot easier to blame that.
Yeah, because it really just brings out what's inside of you.
Yes.
So if you have violent tendencies, you would have had those violent tendencies as well. This is the first time in my life I'm cycling and by the way, I was on nothing for 30 years, and then I was like, okay, I want to go back to competing. So I'm doing the Garden State Classic June 20th.
And how old are you now?
53.
Because you're a little younger than me, but you look great for 50.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's all there. You can't tell under a shirt, but
I could tell.
The package.
Even though you're
is
a little
there.
flat from cardio today.
Yes, and I'm small. I weigh 168.
Well, you're in the right bodybuilding mindset if you think you're small, because that's the whole.
And I want to compete as a lightweight. When I was my smallest, I was 134 as a bantamweight. That's very low. Yeah, so it's very. I mean, those guys are tiny. Yeah. Do you even consider guys like that bodybuilders?
Yeah, it's funny. Back in 1995, I went to the Arnold Classic for the first time in Columbus, Ohio. Arnold Schwarzenegger's annual show. Yeah, and I was like 290 maybe. I walked into maybe I was like 280 at the time. I walked into the gym. There was a gym there. It was a world gym owned by Jim Lorimer, who used to run the Arnold Classic. It's still there. It's called something else now. And the guy was like, oh, you can go train. And there was another guy there who was at the desk who had just won the bantamweight class at the Nationals the year before, in 1994, when Paul DeMeo won the overall. And, all guys who win the Nationals weight class gets a pro card. Now, everyone knew who everyone's pro card was because there was no other divisions except bodybuilding.
Right.
So you knew if someone got a pro card who they were. I knew who he was.
Yep.
And this kid said, I'm a pro. He goes, can I train? Because they let the pros train for free. And obviously, guys that are freaky like me, they let it for free. They're like, you're no pro. And they said, get out of here.
Come on.
You're not going to pay. I said, no, that guy's really a pro. He's like, Dave, go train. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
They wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him in. And he was so mad. And so I guess they are pros, but maybe they're not considered pros. Although nowadays, those guys are good classic guys.
And they hand out pro cards like crazy. There's probably so many
you
pros.
You could win over 50 pro card, probably.
That's what I'm going to go for. I'm doing the Pittsburgh Masters July 15th.
I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Okay, so that's what I'm going for. And it's really exciting. I'm so excited. Like, I did not identify as a bodybuilder for years. I was kind of jacked.
What were you identifying as? Because I noticed the bathroom here, you can identify with whatever you want.
I was a male swimmer against females taking scholarships away. Well, but I mostly identified it as a comedian and actor, and I was like, I was kind of bulky. I'd go out for blue collar type roles
because they would consider this too big in acting. I remember they used to tell me that I'd go for commercials auditions here in the city, and they said they want a massive bodybuilder, and I would walk in and they'd be like, you're too big. I said, I said the call was for massive bodybuilding. They wound up picking someone like you.
Yeah.
Well, you were huge. Right. I mean, back in the, I've
that's
seen
what you.
But I would get bouncer auditions. I would win like football, player. I did a CarQuest auto parts, but I never got bodybuilder parts, and I was probably the most bodybuilder of anyone back then.
How much did you weigh back in the day? Like at your biggest?
Almost 320. Yeah. So that was
3. And how tall are you?
5'10" and a half on a good day. On a good day. It was.
How did that feel carrying that around?
At the biggest, I would tell people when I woke up in the morning, I would say to myself, I can't wait till I come back and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, because it was, I knew I had to get all my food and I had to get my training in, but I just wanted to come back and go to bed again because that's how exhausting it was to carry that weight around. Now, obviously, I didn't walk around the whole year like that because once I would start dieting, 25 pounds of water would come off me and I would. get down to a more reasonable 300 pounds, you know, which sounds ridiculous, but it's a lot easier to carry 300 than it is 320.
Right. Yeah.
And because I would break things, like I would literally sit in the seat and I would like lean back and all of a sudden you'd hear like snap.
Oh, no.
You don't realize you're that heavy. I don't know how these 500 pounders walk around and don't break all the things they sit down in.
Yeah, it's never occurred to me that you'd be so heavy that you have to worry about the chair.
Oh, yeah.
That's wow.
The worst I ever saw, I've told this story before, is I was very good friends with Greg Kovacs, if you guys know who he was.
I remember Greg from
Canadian
Canada.
Colossus, yeah. He was legit at 420 at one point.
Oh, man.
And we were talking about breaking things.
Yeah.
And he had his wife, Kim, she's an awesome woman, still around, ex-wife obviously now, but because Greg passed. And she told me once, I said, what was the worst thing Greg ever broke? She's like, he had his jacuzzi tub in his house. And he would, because he couldn't shower. He was so he would lay in the tub and she'd fill the tub up. It was huge. And he went to put his hand down to get out of the tub and it went through the tub.
Oh my God.
And the whole water came out everywhere all over the house. So I said, I never heard anyone break a jacuzzi tub. He did.
I used to see him train in London, Ontario.
And
I remember with 60 pounders behind doing just
he was
tries,
strong.
and
I've seen it. Yeah, massive.
He would be on the incline Smith machine. He was doing like 600 for reps.
Yeah.
You know? Like people don't realize how strong he was.
Has size become less important?
No, I think bodybuilding is still about size. I think that it's about, size and condition. The guy, for some reason, and this doesn't apply to all the guys. Because I think the best bodybuilders in the world right now are better than they've been in the history of bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Because they're bigger, they're harder. But the shapes of a lot of these guys, and when I say shapes, I don't mean structure. I mean like the shapes of the muscles doesn't look the same as it did back 25 years ago. And I think that's because guys are using too many machines.
Yeah.
I think people got away from free weights, which give you a more balanced development.
Yeah.
Because your body has to balance the weight when you're benching and you're squatting and you're doing bent over barbell rows. Whereas now the machines are balancing the weight for you and they're doing the stabilization. And I don't think the development is as good. People are big, but the muscle doesn't look quite as pretty as it did.
Yeah.
You know?
You very rarely go, oh my God, that guy's biceps are insane.
You lose that. You don't have that round, grainy, separated look. You kind of just have this massive
So you think people are too reliant on the machines now?
I think they are, and I think and I don't blame the bodybuilders. I blame the machine makers. They're too good at what they do now.
They're really good.
They're really good. The machines. And believe me, for guys like me and that are and I try to do all free weights still, but for older people who have injuries, they're great.
Yeah.
But for guys that are trying to get massively big and have nice full development, I think it's a mistake to use too many machines.
Yeah.
But you were showing me the Panada machine. You went to this gym and there was like
Realm Fitness in Calgary. Have you been there?
No, I've not been there.
Dude, when you go to Calgary,
Crazy.
I mean Disney World. I was like,
Really?
this is insane.
Well, I know Weinberg at Bev's gym out on Long Island got a lot of Panada equipment, so I wouldn't mind going over there. And
I still haven't been there, but
oh my God, you got to go there.
East Coast Mecca. Dude, driving to Long Island from Jersey is like
you're in
4 hours.
Jersey. Yeah, you're in
It's
Jersey.
I don't even do Governors anymore because I'd be driving there, and I'm like, I'm not coming back here till I'm making 30 grand a week.
It's funny. I was just telling him. I said I'm supposed to see Matt Friend at Governors, like on Saturday, and they canceled like a week out at the last minute.
Now, born and raised where?
Long Island,
Which part?
East Meadow.
Wow.
How was it?
I thought it was good growing up. I didn't know any better.
You didn't know any better. So do you still have this part of Long Island trash inside of you?
Of course, yeah.
How does it exhibit itself?
Well, my accent gives me away everywhere I go. See, now I feel at home. I'm in New York,
Yeah.
but when I live in Florida now, so like everyone can. This is a true story. I went into a Wendy's the other day because I like Wendy's. I was a McDonald's guy. I kind of cheat on McDonald's.
Wendy's used to be my favorite.
Wendy's
cheese.
is good. So I breed snakes.
Yeah.
So the FedEx hub drop off for the snakes when I ship out snakes to people. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do a lot of. I'm a very diversified guy. When I go to the hub,
The snake place is next to the Wendy's. Is that
so
where
listen,
you
no,
go?
the FedEx hub where I drop the snakes off to be shipped out. There's a Wendy's next door, and I always go there. I'm running around. I got to pick my kids up at school. After I'm like, I got to get something to eat.
Yeah.
So I go to Wendy's there, and I ordered my food and I'm eating it, and I spilled the Diet Coke on the floor. So what are you going to do? So they get a drink machine. By the way, I love this drink machine. Have you ever seen these drink machines where you can select any brand you want?
You go zero sugar.
Yeah. So I do the drink machine. I refill up and I eat my thing. Go to the bathroom. As I'm leaving, some guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, douchebag." I said, "You talking to me?"
Yeah.
I thought he was talking to someone behind me. I don't look like a. He's like, yeah. He goes, did you spill your soda? I said, yeah. He's like, you going to tell anyone about it? I said, are you the mayor of Wendy's? I said, you're not talking to me, are you?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're a fucking. I know you're a Yankee up from the north. I could tell you. You got the douchebag look on your face.
Wow.
I said, you know what you got? He's like. He's got these big blue eyes looking at me. Yeah. Like he's he hangs out there all day. You know, he's one of those disability guys.
Okay.
That like doesn't work because there's something mentally wrong with him. So he gets the check every week, so he doesn't know what to do. So he hangs out at Wendy's all day. Yeah.
Boy, that's
so
cool.
I said, you're one of those guys. I said that likes to start trouble with people that he knows can beat the crap out of him. So that when he gets the crap beat out of him, he can call the cops and say, he hurt me.
Right.
Yeah.
He hurt me. Now, it's funny because the cops had just been there for something else. He's like, and he told, when I started getting in his face, he's like, why don't you tell these cops to come back? He tells the people who work there. I said, you know what you do? I said, have a nice life. I said, and I know, and I hope you find some peace. And he's like screaming at me, you're a douchebag, you're blah, blah, blah. I said, and I walked out. I can't believe it.
That's great. So he was able to pin you from like.
So my accent and the fact that I had a nice car and I'm in Wendy's.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I'm a douchebag because, you know.
These people in Florida think that all the New Yorkers are coming down, which is true.
And meanwhile, I'm supporting this guy because I'm paying taxes like through my teeth to support this guy's, his check he gets every week, from the government.
You went to public school?
I did.
And mom was Jewish.
My mom was Jewish. Yeah.
Did this trickle down to you? Was there any Jewishness in the way you were raised?
I have better Yiddish expressions than all my Jewish friends.
Because you say, Dave Palumbo, you don't think, a Jew,
I
think the first time we actually met once at the New York Pro 2024.
Right.
And I was wearing a tank top that said Jack Jew on it.
Oh,
and you go, oh, I love that. And I was like, why did he say that? And I looked you up and I was like,
that's funny.
Holy shit, his mom's Jewish. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's why I filed that in my head because we were looking for guests I said, Dave Palumbo's Jewish. You're like, Palumbo?
Yeah.
It's funny because a friend of mine, Roy Schwartz, who was a fellow Jew in high school, went on a trip to Israel when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And when he came back, he gave me a picture that he took of a museum there and it said the David Palumbo Museum. And I showed it. He gave it to me, and I showed it to my father. He goes, "Yeah, that's you were named after David Palumbo, the famous Jewish artist."
Really?
Isn't that funny?
That's great.
Because you sound like you should be running a Papa John's franchise.
I know.
Right.
That's insane.
Right. If they redo The Sopranos, like you're being cast.
Mom's Jewish.
So Long Island, everyone's Jewish or Italian.
Yeah.
So if you're both, it's like you kind of can merge with both crowds.
Boy, that's great.
Yeah.
Play sports growing up?
I did, yeah.
What'd you play?
Soccer, basketball, the whole track and field.
What'd you excel at the most?
I was really good at soccer, and I just kind of lost interest in it. I got obsessed with running. We were talking about running earlier, but I became obsessed with running. I actually had some pretty good times, and I went to college I got into the pre-med program at Franklin and Marshall College, and it's like a Division III school for track. And the track coach was like, "Oh, we're going to get a guy who's pre-med and he can run," they gave me a lot of little incentives to go there. It was expensive, which now it's like, it was like, I think it was $12,000 a year with everything back then, which was a lot in the 80s. Now it's like 80,000. Yeah, it's crazy. And, so they gave me a few perks and helped me out because my dad was a single parent, and then I got into medical school from there. So I ran the whole time I was there, and then I kind of switched at my senior year. I started getting into bodybuilding more because I was like,
yeah, where'd that come from? So how'd you go from running? Obviously going to med school, which is very Jewish.
Yeah.
But then where does this idea of bodybuilding? How does that?
You know what happened? It got to the point where I was so skinny because the coaches would always be like, "You got to lose more weight." I had a propensity to put muscle on. I wasn't huge, I wasn't big, but you see what these runners look like. They look like, the Ethiopian guys.
Yeah,
they're skinny.
Tom Hanks at the end of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking like that. So I would starve myself down to it. I went from 160 in high school to 140. So that's 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And believe me, I didn't have 20 pounds of body fat. It was muscle I was losing. So I'm like, I'm never going to get a date. I said, when I go to, when I get into the real world, in college, I really didn't care. I was so enmeshed in running and the whole pre-med program, and I was busy. So I started working out, and I literally went up to 180 in the first 8 months I was training. And I was like, and all I was doing was eating. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get fat.
Right.
You know, that meant, because, and I said, well, you know what? Let me keep eating. I was eating the bodybuilder diet. Let me keep eating. And if I get fat, I'll just cut back. And for my whole bodybuilding career, the more I ate, the bigger I got. There was never a point where I got fat.
Yeah.
So that was the limiting factor on how big I can get. So I obviously had a propensity to put muscle on, you know.
Food is really such a secret ingredient that so many people, you watch people try and cut corn. I'll talk to civilians and they'll be like, you eat carbs?
right.
And it's like, yeah, you have to. And these people are just trying to, you know, lose fat and look somewhat decent.
Well, because they think carbs is pizza. They don't know it's like rice and you know, potatoes and stuff like that.
Right. But there's so much misinformation out there. And now you're one of the top guys. You know shit.
Yeah.
Like I talked to my boy today and he goes, he's like, you know, basically a cardiologist. Like this guy knows shit. Talk to him about your tricep that's connected to your heart that almost gave you a heart attack last night. When you get into bodybuilding, it's the golden era of it. So tell us what it was like. I mean, is there this drive like, I got to move to Muscle Beach. I got to go to Venice.
I was this close to do it. I was actually very close to moving in with Andy Bernarski. He had asked me, if you remember from the program.
Yes.
And he had said, yeah, you should come out here, you know, move in, whatever. And then I was thinking about it and I'm like, you know, so I said, you know what, let me go out to Venice. Because I would go out there for like 5 days, a week. I said, let me go out there for like 3 weeks and see how I like it. So there was a hotel called the Marina Pacific Hotel.
Yeah.
And they had the Venice Cafe where all the bodybuilders would eat breakfast in the morning there, if you remember. And it was like, we knew someone there. And it was like $29 a night.
Yeah.
If you had the regular suite. If you wanted the extra big suite, it was $39 a night with this connection. So I'm like, who can go wrong with that? So I stayed there for 3 weeks. I did the whole wake up at 5 a.m, go to the gym, do you work out, go back later, you know, eat all the food at the firehouse and all that stuff. And after doing it for about a week and a half, I'm like, this is boring. Like it wasn't fun. And it was fun. I still loved the fact that the weather was always nice. And it was beautiful. And it was, but I'm like, no one works here.
Yeah.
How do these people make money? I said, you know, there was no work ethic. No one really, they trained at the gym, but they didn't train that hard.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I'm going to lose the edge if I come here. And I had all my little connections back home. So I decided, you know, I'm not going to move here. And I stayed out there. And because I said, no one, I squatted there. There was 50 people watching me. Like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I've never seen a squat before. He's squatting 600 pounds.
Yeah.
They don't even, everyone leg pressed there. No one loaded, the squat bars never had anyone on them.
Really?
Yeah, no one squatted. I said, I can't live here. I said.
New York's got a different edge to it. Like New York feels like people are more competitive.
Yes.
There's this feeling in LA where you can get more laid back and just be like, I'm going to go
the weather,
enjoy the sun.
It's too nice. Nice. You have to suffer a little bit. You need the cold.
Yeah, when it's cold, you feel like you have to get up and do stuff. You know?
That's right.
Move around.
That's right.
What type of jobs were you working? And walk me through the bodybuilding progression while you're doing these jobs. What's the first show? What job are you working to support you?
I had 2 real jobs my whole life. One was for 2 months in the summer between, I want to say, I think it was in my high school between, I think, my junior and senior year. It was an usher at a movie theater.
Yeah.
And I got fired because I was letting my friends sneak in the back door.
Okay.
So I only lasted about 6 weeks there. And the second job was at Petland Discounts. Wow. Which was a pet store because I'm into animals and aquariums. And it's funny because I worked there for a summer and I wound up meeting, there were these 2 like heavy metal guys there who I was going to college and they were not. And flash forward 30 years later, I get it back into snakes again, breeding. And I'm at a reptile expo and I'm walking by a booth and this guy goes, hey, you. I said, yeah. He goes, I know you. I said, oh, you follow bodybuilding? Because, you know, I think from bodybuilding. He said, no. He goes, I know you. And I see says Vin Russo, whatever the name of his company was. I'm like, oh, I said, you're Vin Russo. You wrote the book, The Complete Boa Constrictor. I said, he was the #1 boa guy. He goes, I know you. I said, From what? He goes, you used to have a Pontiac with T-tops. He goes, you worked with me at Petland Discounts.
What was it, a Fiero?
1986.
You had a Fiero?
No, I had a
Trans Am?
Pontiac, no, not a Trans Am, a Grand Prix or something.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you used to come over to my house. I said, yeah, you introduced me to snakes. I couldn't believe it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was my second job. And then when I quit medical school in my third year, I had to get a job bouncing.
Okay.
So I bounced for like maybe 1 year. So I always prided myself on the fact that I never really had a real job.
Where were you bouncing?
At Escapes in Merrick.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you know that.
You remember a bodybuilder named Jason Markovich?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Got shot in the leg when he was bouncing.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Club in Toronto.
That's why I stopped.
really?
Because these guys that bounce are like sadistic maniacs.
Well, did you see any?
They like to beat people up when they throw
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
They don't want to just get them out. They
Right,
beat them
right.
up. I was like, this is not for me. You know?
Did you see any? I mean, you were in Long Island at that time.
Yeah.
Did you see? Were you around any like Wise Guys and things like that?
Oh, all the time.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
I was in Westchester, which is where everyone thought they were a wise guy in Westchester. You know,
'Cause it was, I mean, it's still big, but it was big back then. And I always hear the stories of like early '90s and like all the riffraff that might would happen. And
believe me, there's a lot of bodybuilders who were involved with that. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names.
That's
They're
all right.
still around, but they're friends of me. But there was a lot of guys that everyone thought they were a wise guy. You know, everyone knows people.
Well, so allegedly, were Wise Guys involved in the steroid trade and all that stuff? Or
I think so, a little bit, but I don't think that was the
primary.
There's not enough money in that.
Right. Yeah. It's such a niche market. They're not going to make a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money.
I guess anything they get their hands in, they're probably
Right. Yeah.
You go into bodybuilding, you know that steroids are involved, I guess, when you enter.
Yeah.
You have a background in med school.
Right.
How do these two things start to incorporate themselves?
It's funny because I was always anti-steroid,
Wow.
And the summer before I went to college, my father took us to the Catskill Mountains. My mom.
Very
passed
Jewish
away.
thing.
Right, yes. Well, because my father thought he was going to meet someone, and
Okay.
so, meanwhile, my father was the most picky person of all time. So we go to the Catskill Mountains, and we're at the Browns or something like that hotel.
Yeah.
And I'm playing softball with like my dad and like a bunch of guys. And I had like a tank top on. And I had like a good upper body, but I had like thin legs, so I was a runner. But I was too big, muscularly speaking.
Yeah.
And so this guy comes up to me, he goes, I'm a bodybuilding coach. I said, oh, really? He goes, you got a good physique. He goes, you look like a rock climber, though. I said, he's like, you got this big upper body, you got these small legs. He goes, do you want to be a runner or do you want to be a bodybuilder? He goes, you can't do both. You know that, right? I said, well, I don't know. I said, I'm running right now in college. He goes, well, if you want to be a bodybuilder, you're going to have to take steroids. I said, I would never do that ever. He's like, well, then you better go into running. He goes, but if you're going to go into running, you're going to have to lose a lot of weight. I said, what do you mean weight? He goes, it's like you're carrying around dumbbells. You're never going to be fast. He goes, so that always stuck in my head. This guy, I don't even know who the guy is.
Real unsolicited advice.
Yes. He saw some potential in me.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually needed it because at the time my mom had died like a few years earlier, and I wasn't believing in myself. I wasn't that confident in myself. So he's like, you can do it. You have a great physique. You can do whatever you want, probably, but you have to pick a direction you want to go in, which was good because I didn't really have a direction. So I put everything into running, which was good because running teaches you supreme discipline.
Yeah.
Because it's harder not to eat.
Right.
When you're hungry than it is to actually eat 6 times a day as a bodybuilder. And then the running every single day. We talked about this. Runners don't take days off.
Right.
I ran every single day for 5 years straight.
Wow.
So because I wasn't going to let anyone outwork me.
Yeah.
So when I switched to bodybuilding, to me it was a breeze. I'm like, you don't have to train every day, and you get to eat 6 times a day. I said, this is like being on vacation almost.
Yeah,
so that was how I kind of got the bug, doing that. And I was good at it, and running was hard for me. Like I don't think I was meant to be a runner.
Yeah,
I willed myself to be a good runner,
and it trained you for the next thing that you were going to do.
So bodybuilding kind of came easier, and so what I started. So my last year of college, I did some research over the summer with a professor who was studying thyroid hormone in the development of chickens. So we would do experiments, like we would hatch these chickens, they would cut their thyroid glands out, and they'd give them different doses of thyroid to see how they developed and how thyroid hormone affected muscular development. Because we all assume that thyroid only controlled metabolism and had nothing to do with muscle. Right. But if you don't have a thyroid, as you're developing, you don't develop muscle either. You become, it's almost, you almost start becoming like a muscular dystrophy case. And that's what he was trying to prove, that if you can supplement these people with thyroid hormone. And then at this point, they had just discovered IGF-1.
Yeah.
And at the time, they called it somatometin C. because it came somatometin between growth hormone and growth. They always thought growth hormone was the growth impetus hormone, but it wasn't. They found there was another hormone, the growth hormone, elicited from the liver, which they called somatostatin C, which is now called insulin growth factor 1, and that was the growth. And so I was like, the hormones, this is this is information no one knew. I'm like, oh, I got the inside track on this.
Yeah.
So I started reading Bill Phillips' Anabolic Reference Guide.
Yeah.
I probably read that book more times than he did. I knew it cover to cover, and I had never even thought about taking an anabolic steroid at this point. I go to medical school. I'm in my second year, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of hit a wall. I couldn't grow anymore. I was about 225, and I said, I'm going to try a cycle.
Yeah.
So I planned this cycle out for a year in advance,
So exciting.
And then, and I do like first cycle of like primobolan and Winstrol.
Yeah.
It was like 200 milligrams of primobolan a week and like 50 milligrams of Winstrol every other day.
And no test, right?
No test. No, because I didn't want to suppress my...
That's what I thought when we were growing up. People would go do tests with it. You go, no, I don't want to do tests.
I put 15 pounds on probably in about 8 or 10
I didn't mean to
weeks.
interrupt, but back then, where do you... So like, nowadays there's underground labs everywhere and this and that. Back then, what was the... Like, if you wanted to get steroids...
I had a friend who went to Barcelona and bought it in the pharmacy and brought it back.
Oh my God.
I was using the real stuff. So, all the wannabe wise guys were doing
So
this.
Primo and Winstrol.
Because remember,
First cycle I ever did.
Remember what happened in 1990? This was around that time. Joe Biden, who was a senator, pushed through the Steroid Controlled Act, which made steroids a controlled 3 substance.
Yeah.
So it went from being all the bodybuilders used to go to the pharmacy, and now they can't get it anymore because it's a controlled substance. And
Biden.
Overnight
the DEA actually told Biden it shouldn't be classified as a controlled substance because it doesn't have it's not dangerous. It can't kill you, quickly.
Yeah.
And there's no addiction to it. So it doesn't classify itself as a controlled substance. But
Tell that to my ass.
They pushed it through anyway because of the Barcelona Olympics and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was hard to get stuff. So anyway, I had a friend lunatic who went to Barcelona and they were buying steroids from in Spain and sending them back. So I did my first cycle. Like I put on about 15 pounds in the first 8 weeks. And I was lean to start with. So everyone in the gym was like, what did this guy do? Because it looked like 25 pounds, because when you don't have body fat, it looks a lot better.
Shows, yeah.
And I said, I was honest. I was like, I just did this. They're like, no way you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And actually to take a step back, remember hot stuff?
No.
What's hot stuff?
There was stuff. It came in a container, like a protein container. It was called hot stuff. It had every ergogenic aid known to man at the time.
Oh wow!
I do remember.
And it had a banana-ish taste, and when it would mix it as a shake,
that's before
and it would give you the worst gas. When I would go to medical school, and I was sitting, and there it is, there.
Yeah.
When I would sit in the lecture hall in med school, the gas that would come out of me. You ever see Carlin do that routine where he says, before you let a fart out, you got to let a test fart out to see if people can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, the test fart could clear the room out. I don't know what was in there, but everyone said there was methyl testosterone in there. So I might have done a cycle before I really did a cycle, because if the stuff really did have steroids in it, because I put on some size from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the first official cycle I did was the primobolan and Winstrol, and I realized that I was a hyper responder, obviously, because it wasn't a lot of drugs, and I put a lot of muscle, but I was eating perfectly. I was training. I thought I was training perfectly. Wasn't that good at training at that point, but it worked on me, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I got
you do a show after this cycle?
I did a show. I think I was 212 pounds. I did one in Manhattan, two shows in Manhattan. I placed like top 3 in the open, men's open heavyweight bodybuilding. And I was bit by the bug after that. Yeah.
Right.
The feeling you get on stage is, I mean, it's incomparable when you're up there. And I don't know what it is. I think it's this, how much work you put in. Right. And then it all comes down to this. It's literally a couple minutes of your day, right?
But it feeds it's an ego feeding confidence.
Is that what it is?
Because I think bodybuilding is so addictive to people because a lot of guys who start have a lack of confidence, and that muscle and the appreciation and the respect you get from your peers, it makes you feel like, hey, I'm someone who's important here. I'm getting respect from people that I didn't get before. And that's part of the addiction part. Yeah.
And there's also a thing when we look in the mirror, sometimes we're like, oh, I look fat. The skin's loose. Yeah. But you always have a picture when you hit like a side chest. You're like, oh, I know how this is going to look when it's polished. Right. You have a vision of what you're going to look like.
Oh, I knew exactly how I wanted to look. And I can't believe that I got to the level that I got to, because I would look at pictures of these guys in the magazine. I'm like, I don't think I can. I don't know if my father told me. My father said to me, he goes, listen, my father never discouraged me from doing anything. He was always one of these people that he didn't tell me what to do. And he's like, I just want to say, I would show him pictures. He's like, you don't have the arms like some of these black guys do, I think he used the term spatza,
Yeah, that's what
even though my father wasn't Jewish. But he's like, they got, they got better arms. I said, Dad, you got to build them up. And he's like, I think he felt like, you can't build those. They're God-given. But at some point, I remember in my career, he said to me, he goes, you know what? I never thought I'd ever see the day. He goes, your arms are huge. I don't know how you did it. Wow. He goes, he's like, I don't know anything about bodybuilding, but he goes, you did what you said you were going to do. So I guess you have to have a vision,
I remember I had someone brought a Nautilus machine to my parents' house. I was like 16, 17. He, little bench pressy thing you could do curl, and he installed, and he goes, so what do you want this for? I go, I think I want to be a bodybuilder. He goes, you'll never. He goes, you don't have the genetics. He goes, you could get lean but you'll never look like a body. And the negative always stayed in my head. And then I remember I did my first show. I almost won the overall as a lightweight. And I was like, oh, fuck that guy. There's such a feeling of, and normal people don't get this. The feeling, how good it feels when you're doing it. Yeah. I mean, it's the best feel. And I'm so vocal. I think because I'm a comic too, I'll walk around the gym and I'll be like, fucking best day ever. Isn't this great? And people just look at me like I'm a nut, but I'm like, dude, I love legs. Don't you love doing legs?
I did. You love to hate them.
Yeah. And
you gotta love, if you don't love leg day, or if you don't embrace leg day, you'll never be a great bodybuilder.
Yeah. It's the best feeling in the world.
All day long. From the moment I woke up in the morning, all I would do is think about, I got to do legs.
Me too. Right. There's an anxiety about
until it's done.
And I'll tell my wife, she'll go, what's wrong with you? I go, I got legs today. And my wife, by the way, I love her so much most of the time. She does not, I'll go in and I'll go, honey, look. And she'll go, I go, no, look. And then one day, 2 months ago, she goes,
you look pretty good.
Oh, your leg, you got like new veins and stuff. I go, all right. And that's it. She's not turned on by it at all. When she first met me, she was like, oh, look at those arms. And now she's just like.
Yeah, well, you're just you now.
Yeah. And it's she goes, I love your heart. I love you. You're such a kind man, which is a lot of people don't think that we can be kind and open.
Well, we look tough. Yeah.
Right.
Does it take people aback when you're so nice, except the guy that called you douchebag and Wendy's?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and people are definitely, especially over the years, especially when I was really big. I think people are like, I didn't realize, I was a little intimidated to talk to you, and you're such a good, nice guy, and you share so much information.
And do people ever go, this isn't really for Jews?
There's not a lot of Jewish bodybuilders.
There's not. And I'm kind of excited when I hit my first front double bi.
It's not that we don't have the genetics.
The high.
It's not that we have the genetics. It's just that our parents guide us away from that type of stuff. Yeah. Right? I think that's what it is.
Now,
I always tell people, if my mother was alive, I would be a doctor right now. I was pretty close, even without her.
I was a stripper for like a year and a half in Toronto, and my mom and my aunt's a famous cookbook author back in Canada. They snuck in, and I lied to them. I go, we don't go naked or nothing like that. Full fucking, I'm lean, so it looks like 9 1/4.
Really hardcore.
And I went to dinner the next night, and she goes, we came and saw your show last night. And I go, oh my God. And my head just hung in shame.
Embarrassed, yeah.
And I thought she was going to be like, I did not raise you. This is how supportive a Jewish mom is. She goes, you're very good at what you do. And I'm like, what the fuck?
They're
like
excuse makers. They're excuse makers.
Well, so I have a question. So you're an interesting case because most people who get involved in bodybuilding, I think you're talking about addiction and how you get addicted to the feeling. And I mean, you did an interesting thing, which was at a certain point you said, you know what, I'm not gonna be 300 something pounds for no reason if I'm not competing. Right. A lot of guys, you look at like The Rock or whatever, and until recently they were just keeping that size, and it's where a lot of health problems started happening. You kind of were ahead of the curve, where like, you said, I'm running a business, I can. Was that hard for you, or were you just like you had a different mindset and you were able to shift it?
I always said to my friends, I said, listen, if I'm still doing this when I'm 40, put a bolt in my head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I knew that. I said, this, I can't. This is not something I should be doing.
Yeah.
Long term. I knew it. I knew it was. That's why I left medical school. To be honest with you, one of the reasons was I said, if I don't do it now, I can't do this when I'm older. I could always go back and be a doctor later if that's something I wanted to do. Which it wasn't. But so I knew that there was an escape plan. When it was, I said to myself, the day I can't be better than I was the day before, I quit.
But did you get addicted to the illusion of being like Dorian Yates talks about? You know, when he came off everything, there was like this moment of like, holy shit, like who am I now? If I'm not this.
No, because you know what? I felt a relief almost.
Oh, is that right?
Because I'm like, all right, I did as much as I possibly could.
Right.
There's no way I can go further than I would. Maybe if they would have given me a pro card, whatever the case may be. But
and you have the receipts. It's not like you can't take away the.
Yeah, I did the best I could, and I knew that I had very bad shoulders. I knew that I was going to need shoulder replacement at some point. But I said, I can't be better than I was last year, so I don't want to go out there and embarrass myself because I'm my harshest critic. When I look in pictures and look in the mirror at like the day of the show, all I see is flaws. I don't see the accolades of what I have. I just see what I'm missing. So
hyper focused.
Yeah, because I want to be the best I can be. Because if you think that you look great, you never improve. So I said to myself, I can't be better. I got to stop. I said, and you know what? Because I knew the universe would send me a message and say, it's time to stop. Because if you don't, you're going to hurt your health and you're not going to live a long time. And I knew that I had to be, I don't know why I knew I had to be around. I knew I had to be around a long time, probably to educate other people, because that's what I do right now.
Yeah.
So I said, if I can't stop and I can't explain to people how to do this, then I am not doing what I'm here to do, which is to educate people, really. You know,
I was telling Aaron, you're one of the biggest advocates of you do a show, come off, clean yourself out. You don't hear that from anyone anymore.
It's not even a health thing. It's just, it works better when you do it. Yeah. People just are psychologically addicted to steroids. And so,
they don't
so I have to try to explain to them that it's actually better for you because when you go back on, you're going to get a better response.
Yeah.
So obviously health purposes, it's fine. It's good too. But the point is that there is a reason. In other words, I'm hardly conservative. Sometimes I come off as conservative because in today's day and age, people are out of their mind.
Right.
And they do crazy shit because they hear it on the internet and people listen to what they want to hear. So if you tell them, guys, just stay on. 1,000 milligrams of test a week. Because the more you take, the more androgen receptors you're going to have and you're going to respond better.
Yeah.
It's a lunatic fucking explanation.
Yeah.
But that's what they want to hear. So they're going to be like, he knows what he's talking about. This guy doesn't. He's old school. He's this, he's that, because they don't want to understand. They don't want to come off. So they're going to listen to what they want to hear.
Meanwhile, you're alive.
It doesn't matter. They don't. I could give them, and I've given explanations that are so simplistic to understand about how receptors work and everything like that. And the normal person who actually likes science will say, this guy is brilliant. It's so obvious why you have to do it. And then other people say, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
You know what changed it, I think, is Instagram. I think because it's not about bodybuilding anymore. It's about, how many followers you get. And if you're coming off for, a few months and you're shrinking, you can't post on Instagram.
Right. Well, these guys take a study that has nothing to do with what they're trying to prove. And they put a screenshot of it on their Instagram, and then they make a statement. And no one goes back and reads the study and sees that it's on 90-year-old people who were given one shot of testosterone. They just assume that he's got a study there. It must be proving what he's saying, because I'm too fucking lazy to go back and look at it myself. And so that's why I go back and look at these things and then I call them out. But, so when I got to the point where I said I'm done, now I say to myself, well, I'm not competing anymore. So what am I going to, it doesn't pay to be this big. Now I got to change the way I look to meet, number one, get all my health markers into the right range. And number two, be able to explain to other people how to do it. So I was on hormone replacement, about 200 milligrams per week for 10 years after I stopped competing. But I slowly brought my weight down by restricting food, not training as heavy, Then I went off for 7 years completely when I had my kids.
Oh, nothing. So like no test.
Nothing, and my levels were pretty good. Believe it or not.
Did you get depressed at all, or
no?
Really?
No, I don't. I have a friend who's convinced that Teddy Roosevelt and I are the only manic people alive. We have no depression. We don't get depressed. Look, I get depressed from things happening to me, but I'm not a depressive person. So I realize that in my head there's a game plan. So I'm off for a reason.
You also know what you're doing, so you feel like you're not winging it. Where some people are like, "Do I go off and not do this?"
Because now I'm in another. So it's like a challenge. It's like, all right, he's off everything. No one can go off everything, right, and still feel good, right? No one can go off everything and actually get someone pregnant after being on for 13 years of steroids, 10 years of hormone replacement. I'm like, well, I'm going to show you. It's just a science experiment.
Yeah.
So I make my whole baby making protocol that I give out to everyone. I'm probably responsible for, 80%,
I did see this.
80% of the kids in the bodybuilding
HCG
world.
plays into this, right?
HCG, HMG, Clomid, injectable glutathion, and V-mineralized.
But then you have like bodybuilders who are taking everything, trend, this, that, and then they get like their wife pregnant.
This is the way it works.
The baby comes
They're
out.
all girls, though. They're all girls. No, what
really?
happens is, they're always girls because the female sperm are stronger than the male.
Does it mean it's not going to be healthy? Or?
No. This is what happens. So you stop, if you're not producing testosterone in the testicles, okay?
I'm not.
What happens is that these Sertoli cells that are down there that produce sperm are not being bathed in testosterone, so they're not being stimulated to produce sperm. So they stop, okay? When you take a shot now exogenously, it's spread out throughout your whole bloodstream. So the concentration going through your testicles is very low.
Okay.
So it's not enough to stimulate those Sertoli cells, usually.
Right.
So for most people, they're sterile when they're on HRT or on a cycle. But if the cycle gets too high and there's a lot of drug in their system, a lot of times it can start stimulating those cells because the amount going through there is a little higher now.
Right.
And in some people who are like super, like Ronnie Coleman, got 8 daughters, all while he's on gear. In that type, they start producing sperm cells, even though it might not be a lot. And so they're the stronger ones, which are the female ones. And those are the ones that will get
life finds a way, like Joe Goldblum said.
Like Joe Goldblum, yeah.
But no, because I see it a lot. I mean, I hear, not just bodybuilders, but just casual gym rats who take steroids, and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to go on this.
Yeah.
They get some girl pregnant. They weren't even trying. They thought they were sterile.
I don't even want to. I could probably say it. The guy I'm helping right now, who's getting ready for New York Pro, he got his girl pregnant.
Really?
On a side, and he wasn't even on a heavy
Congrats.
cycle. Yeah. That's a congrats. He's happy now. They got married and everything. But the point is that I think when it's meant to be, it's going to happen anyway.
Right.
But that's why it does happen, though, because in some people, their Sertoli cells are very sensitive to testosterone. So even at lower concentrations, they'll still produce.
But there's no evidence to suggest that if you're on cycle and you get someone pregnant, there's more of a chance to have a disabled.
There's no. It's just the sperm. It's just how many sperm you produce. Think about it. Like some people are just genetically gifted at doing certain things, and those people just happen to be very fertile.
Wow.
Can you take HCG if you're on a cycle just for cosmetic reasons? Like my balls are tiny.
Yeah, because it'll stimulate your testicles to produce more testosterone, but mostly, it'll swell them up a little bit. So a lot of people take it just to have more sensitivity down there.
Oh.
But people say, well, I grow better. I said, well, it's kind of like throwing sand on the beach. You got more sand, but you're going to really notice it.
Okay.
But things like that, even like, when I was taking a lot of stuff, like my balls never really shrank, or at least I didn't think they did. I mean, they didn't look that much smaller. I never got acne. My hair I've taken trend and I never lost hair.
Right.
But I had other things. I got gyno. I had, I mood swings and anxiety and things like that, but not the other things.
Well, usually what I find is that people are one of two ways. Remember, testosterone can convert to 2 different hormones. It can convert to DHT or dihydrotestosterone, which is what causes acne, hair loss, prostate enlargement. Okay, and male sexual character development. That's why women should stay away from DHT compounds. Yeah. And then they could also convert to estrogen, and estrogen would cause your gynecomastia, your suppression of your pituitary gland, and your fluid retention, and possibly estrogen-dependent fat deposition. So you're either good at one or you're good at the other. And you can tell by getting your DNA tested. I have had my DNA tested. I don't really convert a lot to estrogen, but I convert a lot to DHT.
Interesting. Okay.
To the point of where I need to take a DHT blocker even when I'm on nothing. I'm still too high.
Wow.
On nothing. So I convert all my testosterone to DHT. So I take finasteride, 2.5 milligrams a day. I've been doing it for 25 years. And
whereas I can take a little testosterone and I get like itchy over here.
Right, because you convert more of yours to estrogen. So you need to take some sort of an estrogen blocker. You need to be on some Arimidex or like letrozole or Aromacin or something like that.
It's crazy to say, because I've tried everything once, and even like people are like, oh, you're going to take Winstrol, your hair's going to start going. And nothing happened. No. Nothing.
First of all, Winstrol is DHT-like, but it's not DHT.
Oh, okay.
So I think a lot of people, get twisted up about that, and they think we're going to lose hair from Winstrol. And I don't know, maybe some people do, but there's really no reason you should lose hair from Winstrol.
There's also like the gym rat logic. These guys aren't like looking at the research like you are. They're just like repeating things.
I think, this is my theory, I think that all anabolic steroids can cause hair loss.
Oh, okay.
All of them, even though now there are some that will cause more because some of them convert to DHT at a very high amount. But I think that all of them can stimulate that hair follicle if you're prone and can speed up hair loss. But I think that if you're genetically meant to lose hair, you're going to lose it no matter what. And if you're not, you're not. It doesn't matter what you take. You're not losing hair. That's all.
Interesting.
Not at 40 years old, you're not.
Is there, and I've said this, this time around, I feel way more level on than I do off. Mentally, emotionally, I let things go much easier. When I was younger, I wouldn't. I'd get out of my car and punch someone else's car. But now it's just like, I feel really level. Does that mean I found the right dose for me, or my body's just better at processing this?
Well, I think because you're very even-tempered to begin with, I think that it makes you just feel better about yourself. You feel confident, you feel good, you're recovering better, you see your body changing, so you're in a good mood because of it. And you're strong in the gym. Whereas maybe when you're not on, you kind of get depressed. Oh, I'm achy, I'm painful, I don't even recover, I'm always sore. And so for most people, when they're on, they feel better.
Right. Like everything feels better.
Other people who have very nasty temperaments, and I have friends that they're great guys, but they go on a cycle and they're ready to fight everyone.
I went to a guy in the gym. I go, bro, how you doing? He goes, and I take my headphone. He goes, I don't like being touched. and this guy was like, he left the gym. He went to another gym, thankfully. But I remember one day I was pushing 285, which for me is a lot to bench. I'm 160 something pounds, and so I'm yelling, and the guy yells, "Shut the fuck up!"
What?
From across, and I go, what? And then all the other guys go, oh, this guy's gonna fight this guy. And they recognize me from TV and shit, so it's kind of a weird thing, and everyone's all excited. And I go over to the guy.
Phones out, right?
I go over to the guy after. I go, "What? Are you going through something today, buddy?"
What's going on?
Yeah, I was on a work call, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
You're in the
and
gym.
he's a big guy, and it's like, the fucking rules of this shit.
It's not
like,
WeWork.
this is a fucking gym.
This is not Planet Fitness. Here.
I get so upset over little shit like that. Look, I got a couple questions.
All right.
Okay, you're an expert. Tell me how, first of all, you started making these home testing kits. How they got so successful.
I didn't. This is God honest truth. So I'm very good friends with Bill Llewellyn, who wrote the Anabolics book.
Okay,
and he's brilliant. When he wrote that book, I said, man, I wish I should have. That's the book I wish I could have written, but I don't have the patience to do it.
Yeah.
He's one of these people who can sit down and do research and pull all this stuff. I don't have the time. I'm like the guy who wants to commission someone else to do it. But I knew it needed to be done. So I've been selling his Anabolics books for years. And he called me up. He's like, I got these test kits. You can test your steroids because, all the underground labs.
Right.
I said, they work? He goes, yeah, they're super accurate. I said, I want to sell them on my website. I said, give me a wholesale price. I'll buy as many as you want me to. I said, I'm gonna sell these things like crazy because people don't know what they're taking, especially the women. So I don't make them. Bill Llewellyn does.
Yeah.
He has his own website for it, but I sell more than he does because I have the audience and they all know that they need them.
Right.
And he doesn't really do social media stuff. So, but they're brilliant. They're coming out with the semi-quantitative ones, which will be able to tell you again how much of each drug is in these compounds. They were having trouble. You know what the problem is also? The ones that are suspended in MCT oil sometimes mess up the test. So the ones that are in cottonseed in the usual way are better, grapeseed oil.
So, but that's going to help with some of these underground labs. They're either overdosed or underdosed or whatever.
You put it this way: for $20 a test kit, you're crazy if you don't test what you're using because you're wasting your time and your money.
Yeah.
Right.
You're spending thousands of dollars on steroids. Test the freaking stuff and make sure it's good. If you're a girl, why would you want to take Dianabol when you take Anavar? And the injectable Primobolan is mostly test propionate. So just test the stuff.
Yeah.
At least you know.
Especially, I told him, I'm pre-contest. I don't want to be taking D-ball when I think I'm taking bar. I don't want to, if it's Primo, I don't want to.
And the same thing with the growth hormone kits are a little more expensive because it's a little more tricky to get. It's like a dipstick test. They're about $100 a piece. But you know what? People spend thousands on GH.
Right.
If you're using fake GH, you're wasting a shitload of money. Test the freaking kit. Right.
Yeah.
Once you know it's good, then you can buy more of the stuff. So
either way, you're saving thousands because chances are if you're getting from a source who's selling you one bunk thing, everything's bunk. So,
and you know what the sad part is? You really need to test every new lot because a lot of these underground steroid labs are really good when they first come out. And then they're like, I could make more money if I cut the dose in half, or I switch compounds and don't use this. And sometimes they don't even know that the stuff they're getting from China is not really what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Because they're just assuming that if it says Primo on the bag, it's Primo. It might not be Primo.
Yeah.
So you got to test the stuff.
Okay.
And that's why I always send people to my DavePalumbo.com
said,
website. Okay.
That being said, I'm not going to show the name of this lab.
Do I need to pull
I want you to do a vision test.
you know what? I can't tell by looking, because you know what? The stuff that's the best usually is not real. Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, you got to open it and look what's inside. What if it was Advil and I was trying to trick you?
I don't even know. How I know if this is
so
good?
at first,
I will tell you one thing. There is a taste test for certain things.
Really?
Testcipionate tastes bitter. It like numbs your tongue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can, and Tren you can tell by the color usually.
Yeah.
We used to taste everything back in the day.
Really?
Testananthe doesn't have a taste at all.
Like doing a knife in a bag of Coke.
Just drip it on your tongue. And you can tell. But you know.
So at first, and I don't know a lot. At first, so that's supposed to be Primo.
All right. Now, if you inject this Primabone and it doesn't hurt,
it's not Primo.
No, it probably is Primo. Because usually they use test propionate when it's fake, and the test prop hurts when you inject it. It like hurt.
But everybody said, I just talked to someone last week. He goes, Primo hurts when you.
Primo, because most people think it does, because most of the people are using test propionate.
Yeah. No.
So Primo should not hurt. So if the Primo doesn't hurt, it's either real or it's nothing.
Okay.
So usually they put something in these underground. So usually it's prop they put in.
Okay.
There. So just I would bet you if it hurts.
So do a little shot, and if it hurts,
I would still test it for $20. I mean,
okay,
see if it's real. A lot of Primo is fake out there, but you know why? And it's not really that people are trying to just screw people on Primo. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
Like the raw material. I don't know if you saw my video I did in India.
I think so. Yeah.
I did an underground lab guy, and he was saying how expensive a kilo of Primabone is. It's like 10 times the price of the other drugs. So they don't want to use it because there's no profit in it. So
we were watching your video from when you went to Mexico and went to the pharmacy. We were cracking up because you were like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. I've done a couple of videos since then. I did one in India. I did another one in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. But the original one you're talking about probably is Tijuana.
Oh, okay.
And but what I usually do is I find these bodybuilders, and I'll go to the real pharmacy.
Yeah.
They have a couple things there, and then I'll go to the underground pharmacy, where all the bodybuilders get their stuff from. And some of it's good and some of it isn't. You don't know, so.
And you test everything.
I would test everything.
Yeah.
Yes. If I was a bodybuilder competing today, I would test everything.
Now I bought a test kit, and I go to test this Anavar, and the
DavePalumbo.com, by the way.
Yes. And the great kits. And I told the guy, I go, hey, I'm doing a thing. He sent me these, and I go, I want to make sure this is real.
Right.
How do I know? He goes, well, order a Palumbo kit or go to Jano Test. So I order a Palumbo kit, and he goes, just so you know, the Anavar may come up as D-ball.
Why is that?
That's what he said. And I go, is that for real? He goes, yes, sometimes it happens on those kits.
No. It means that the stuff
it's D-ball.
Yeah, it's D-ball. Exactly. So that's a great rationalization. Sometimes the kits taste D-ball.
I clearly have a bottle of D-ball right here.
Oh, you've tested that.
And then I
don't give it to your wife.
I thought this came up as Tren, but it couldn't have come up as Tren. So I may have just read it wrong.
Maybe. Who knows?
I mean, I don't want.
What I usually have people do is they'll email me something you're taking.
I haven't taken any of those yet.
Yeah,
okay. I got some more from him. Now I have a treat for you.
Okay.
Okay. So a guy that's helping me. He's helping coach me. Him and his wife own a bakery. In New Jersey.
They have Tren muffins? What is it?
No, it's called Dough Palace. Okay. And he ran into you once.
Oh, did I see him at Champions Day?
And you tried.
He's got the greatest stuff.
Oh, wow.
These are truffles.
What is this?
I don't know if it's a cheat day for you or not.
Well, it can always
7 grams of protein in each one. Everything they make.
You got to taste these.
Jordan.
They're unbelievable.
Do you want one?
I guess it's a cheat day for me.
Give Victoria one.
So there's protein in these?
Yeah, 7 grams. These things are insane.
Yeah.
And they make cookies. Again,
my kids,
Dough Palace.
My son was
Fairfield,
with us,
New Jersey.
Yeah, my son was at a Champions Day Strong and Shapely gym.
Yeah,
and he tried one, and he was like, "Holy mackerel!"
It's like crack.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah,
Denny said
you wouldn't do this while you were dieting for a show. There is carbs in here, by the way.
Yeah.
but
now
they are very good.
I'm 8 weeks out. I still will have a couple bites a week.
You will.
Yeah. But it's like I already feel lean enough, and it's like I mean, these things are insane. They're so good.
They're actually too good.
Yeah, like you wouldn't eat more than what 6, 12 in a sitting.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a sweet guy, and a lot of people say to me, well, even with my kids, I don't eat desserts. I'm like, for some reason, if I eat something with too much sugar in it, it messes my brain up. And like when I say, it's like I don't want to work. I get like goofy. Like I'm like, I just want to sit around and watch TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like a workaholic. So like I do a lot. I'm always answering. Anyone who I work with will tell you that Dave answers every email.
Yeah.
Super quick, gets back to us the same day. Right. Because I'm like a very efficient person. When I eat a lot of like sugary stuff, my brain just like you can tell that it's like throwing low test gas into like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't think too much sugar is good for you anyway. So like, I don't mind. I would eat a dessert at a restaurant.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't sit around eating these all day long. But if my kids wanted to eat a snack, I would much prefer them to do this with something with protein.
That's what I do.
Than eat, little bites or whatever donuts crap they eat.
That's what I give my kid. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Sushi.
It's so pure.
I like sushi, right? But it's really, I don't even consider it a cheat meal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it really a cheat meal? Because you get the protein, you get the carbs.
I send most of my guys for burgers and fries. For some reason, on a lean body that's very depleted, a greasy cheeseburger and fries is like, it's like hitting it with a nuclear bomb. I don't know what it does. It like ignites the metabolism and the body sucks up all that grease and salt, and it just looks really good.
Yeah.
On a depleted body.
Right.
And I have guys I work with that like are ready 2 weeks out, and I'm giving them a burger and fry every day to eat.
Really?
And they just keep getting better and better and better. So there's something about
it's funny you
that
say
food.
Because I'm not competing, but when I'm sick or whatever, and I feel like I'm losing a lot of that like, oomph, and just the day after I'll get like a cheeseburger with fries, and
restores you,
and then I'll pump at the gym is like insane, and so there is something to that where you just feel fuller.
Yeah,
you do too many of them, you're gonna.
I went through a little stage where I was like going out, like after I was married or like in the 1999 for about a year, and so after that I went out for like about 3 years, and we would go out and drink, and you wake up the next morning. Now I would go home after drinking. I was one of these guys that was so neurotic. I'd go home and drink a protein shake.
Yeah.
I'd hydrate. I'd drink a Gatorade. Yeah. So I never had a hangover the next day. But you wake up and you're depleted the next day. Right. And I would go to McDonald's and I'd have my usual triple cheeseburger, 2 triple cheeseburgers with fries and an apple pie, baked apple pie, 2 of them. And it was like I was instantly restored.
Yeah.
I was like back to normal. Like, so I think, that to me is the best meal to restore someone who's super ultra depleted.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah. Wow.
It just is.
I told Denny, who runs this place, I go, I'm going to go for dinner tonight. He goes, and I showed him what I look like. He goes, yeah, eat tonight. He goes, you need
a burger and fries.
And so I was like, burger and fries or steak.
I see guys
fries.
on stage. I'm like, you know what? That guy was a burger and fries away from winning his.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I once was like, I showed up, I was so depleted, and someone's like, go eat.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
Just know it. I give guys a burger and fries the night before a show.
Yeah.
Because you look like you're ready to get on stage the night before. That's a dangerous way to look, because when you wake up the next morning, you'll be too flat. So you got to give yourself a little buffer. And then I give them a burger and fries after prejudging.
Yeah.
And with 8 ounces of Diet Coke and maybe a half a Diazide. And for the night show, they look like nuts.
Yeah. So the best thing to load on burger and fries.
Well, once you've carved yourself up, like it's like a top off type of thing
with clean carbs, rice, creamy rice.
I clean carb them up.
Yeah.
It's the glycogen stores in the muscles in the liver are like your gas tank in your car.
Yeah.
So you got to fill it up, but you don't want to overfill it. So once they're filled, okay, now what happens is a person can still look flat.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I've eaten thousands of grams of carbs. How come I'm still fat? But I said, because you're fat depleted. Because there's fat found between the muscle fibers. And I think that fatty, greasy meal will just fill the muscles out a little bit more, because you're not filling the glycogen stores up anymore. You're filling out the muscle fibers themselves, because the last place that fat disappears from is between the muscle fibers.
Okay.
You don't want that necessarily, or not too severely, because then you can't ever look full no matter how much glycogen's in the muscle. That's why 3 days later after the show, you're in the gym posing and everyone's like, that's why you should have looked like that on stage.
Yeah.
You're like, what have you been doing? Well, I've been eating pizza and I've been eating burgers and I'm still just as lean.
Everyone looks like a monster after the show.
I have a question.
You don't want to do that.
And then we'll get to Jordan's last question. Last week, I was like, okay, I got a cheat meal. I had 2 slices of pizza, I had a piece of chicken parm, and I had some fettuccine Alfredo. Yeah. The next day, I was a freak show. Right. But why can I not do that the night before a show? Is it because my stomach, it won't agree with my stomach?
You know what? For some reason, I find cheese doesn't really do it.
It is.
Like, it's not a good cheat.
Okay.
To have too much cheese.
Yeah.
Because it has lactose in there, and there's just, for some reason, the gut has trouble with dairy.
Okay.
And when you eat an excessive amount of it, even though you're so depleted, sometimes it can fuck you up a little bit.
Okay.
And so what I would rather do is a little bit, like a piece of cheese on a cheeseburger is fine, but something that's really gooey cheesy, like pizza or like chicken parm or something like that, it's a little risky.
Okay.
It might work for some people, it might not, but I find that the burger and fries seems to be much more reliable, and then you could do the other stuff after the show's over.
And a Diet Coke is fine after prejudging.
That's nothing better than a Diet Coke.
Okay.
It's got sodium in it too. It helps, So
water cutting. What do you do? How many days out do you start to cut?
No day. I don't change up anything until the last day.
And then
the last day,
water.
I used to take sodium out. I don't do it anymore because I find it flattens guys out too much.
Yeah.
I just literally, if you have a prejudging on Saturday morning, I will literally cut your drinking at around 8 o'clock at night, and I give you half a Diazide. Now, some guys, I might give them half a Diazide earlier in the day if they're holding a little bit of water, but usually if they're super lean, a half a Diazide at night, and that's it. And then they don't drink. So maybe prejudging in the morning, I might give them like 4 ounces of coffee because that's going to act like a diuretic anyway, just to get everything down. Yeah. And go to the prejudging. After the prejudging, you do the burger, fries, 8 ounces of Diet Coke, and then that's it until the night show, and that usually works fine. This is what happens if you start water restriction and sodium restriction and diuretics too many days prior. The day you start it, the next day you're ready for a show.
Yeah.
And then what happens is aldosterone levels go up in the body. Aldosterone is a hormone that monitors sodium in the body. So as you're depleting out sodium by restricting water, by taking diuretic, or by drinking too much, aldosterone says, wait a minute, we don't have enough sodium. So aldosterone gets released from the adrenal glands, and now the body's looking for sodium. And when it holds sodium, what does it hold with it? Water. So you're fighting your body's ability to lose water now after 2 days. So you think, so you start these diuretics early, you look great, and then it gets worse because now you're fighting against your body. If you do it the last day, your body doesn't even know what's going on. By the time it figures it out, the show's over already.
Yeah.
So it's stupid to don't change anything. I always tell people, if you look great the Sunday night before the show, a week from that day, why would you change anything?
Yeah. You got
Makes sense, yeah.
Any last questions?
Yeah. So we touched on it, obviously. You're a pizza bagel, half Jewish, half Italian.
Right, yeah.
What's the most Jewish thing about you, and what's the most Italian thing about you?
That's a tough question. Jewish. I don't know.
You're a good businessman. I mean,
Yeah, I like money. No, I am a good businessman.
Yeah.
I think definitely.
You seem to have that drive. I mean, the way you're saying, you're very much like constantly thinking about like how do I get involved with this and answer every email. That's a very business minded.
I guess that I'm definitely intellectual in the sense that I'm curious about things, and I don't want to just do things because someone told me to. I want to know what the reason is, and I don't know if that's a Jewish thing or not. I definitely have a Jewish sense of humor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think Jewish people can see the absurdity in life and they can laugh at it.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that I'm really into. And I think a lot of people always say that Dave's obsessed with money. Like I like to ask people how much they're making.
Yeah.
For some reason. And it's not that I'm jealous. I'm inspired by it actually. Right. Like if you told me, hey, I did this thing, and I'd be like, well, how much did you make doing that? And you're like, I made $100,000. I'm like, really? Right. And then I'm like, well, if he did it, I can do it too. Like it wouldn't be like, oh man, I hope he dies because he made it. I'm not jealous. I'm inspired by that.
And you're interested, yeah.
So I like to ask people, like successful people, how they made that success. Interesting. And I think that's a Jewish trait.
100%, yeah.
Italian, I don't take any crap from anyone. I'm not a tough guy in the sense I go out and fight people.
Right.
But if you like threaten my family or you threaten me, or then a different side of me can come out.
I'm going to make them an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah. So, and I like to cook, but you know what? Italians and Jews do the absolute same things. They all complain a lot, and it's funny. Jews and Italians are both very loud too.
Yeah.
Like I'm in Florida now, and people think I'm like so loud. I'm like, you should hang out at my relative's house on the holidays. It's like, I'm like, holy mackerel, look how loud they are. And meanwhile, I'm loud, but everyone's screaming, and especially once they start drinking, it's like, it's crazy. So, like I said, I think that's why Italians and Jews get along so well, because they're very much alike, ethnically, and they just, and that's why they live near each other.
Yeah, it's true. Tell them where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we got DavePalumbo.com, which is my coaching for getting in shape or putting muscle on. Also, I do sell like some health products on there, kidney stuff and liver stable, which is, organ health. I do my Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course in there, which is an 8-hour class I offer about how to be a diet guru, basically how to write diets, how to, do anabolic steroid cycles. It's anyone who's going to coach someone out there should take this class. It should be required. There is no, you have to have certain college degrees to be certain, if you want to be a teacher, you got to do this. If you want to be a doctor. This should be required coursework. It's stupid. And you know what? If you're going to be a coach, it's something that you can tax. It's tax deductible to take a course like this. That's all at DavePalumbo.com. SpeciesNutrition.com. That's my nutrition company.
Best tasting protein I've had.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you. And Fiberlize, the #1 fiber product in the world right now, pretty much. I think we're close to knocking off Metamucil, but everyone uses it in our industry, all the bodybuilders. And it's. I wish more regular people would use it too, because it's something that gut health is so, we could do a whole show on gut health.
You should sell plungers also, because holy cow.
Gut health is very important. And then, of course, rxmuscle.com is my media website, the RX Muscle YouTube channel and Instagram for all news on bodybuilding, fitness competitions. We have podcasts on there. I have fun stuff, like you guys do. I have, knowledgeable stuff. I do a Q&A show called Ask Dave every Wednesday. If you guys are interested in knowledge, that's something you should not miss. And so, and then I also breed, I told you I breed reptiles. Yeah. And so Palumbo's Pythons, Instagram. If you want to buy my reptiles, Palumbo's Pythons and Boas at morphmarket.com. You can see all my snakes that I have for sale. And I'm into fish tanks too. I have big fish tanks. I have a fish channel called Muscle Fish on YouTube.
Oh, dude.
And I just started, I used to breed Persian cats years ago, believe it or not, but I'm breeding now Siberian cats. Siberian cats. Now I switched to Siberian. I'm a Russian. I'm a Russian Jew, so I'm doing Russian Jewish cats now. Siberians. I haven't bred any yet, but I'm working on that.
Okay, and you keep the cats away from the snakes.
Yeah. Different buildings. They're in different buildings.
Got it. Absolute pleasure, man.
Thank you for having me.
Badass Jew, dude. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week.
From iron wombs, our fathers, dust breeze, ancient agony, a covenant of